Are your students stressed by social media? Is it something that they really lost all enjoyment but still find themselves scrolling through? This is pretty common because I guess you can also relate to that too. Social media is a very divisive topic right now. And when it comes to whether you're a teacher or a leadership event organizer, whatever you do that you work with kids or coach, it is something that I think we need to continually discuss, and that's what we're going to do today. What I want to first do is list out the pros and cons behind social media, because there are both. Number one, it is an instant and incredibly broad connection to so many other people in their interest group and their communities. You know, if you're really into 90s skateboarding, then you can find a group of people that are really into 90s skateboarding. But before, you were just limited to the people in your high school, and you're lucky if you got one. Another huge advantage is the ability to make real money. And I'm not talking about Instagram influencers. I'm talking about teenagers creating companies, not only real companies, but maybe they're just flipping stuff on eBay, maybe just flipping stuff in Marketplace. Maybe they're creating actual brands, whatever it is. There is no gatekeepers anymore, so they're able to literally go to market and make really good money. And there's also real incredible access to actual fantastic education. How many great professors and lectures are all over YouTube? How many great how-to videos are out there? This is such a high level of media that is much different than necessarily reading a textbook. But again, it's access whenever they want it. And that's a perfect transition into some of the cons of social media. Number one, of course, it is a teen's and everybody's highlight reel. The pictures and the photos that you see posted on Instagram and TikTok are not the everyday photos. It's the highlight reel. It's the best of the best. And when teens are still developing, they're looking at these and they're very influenced. And they're saying, my life is never going to be as good as that. I'm never going to look as pretty as that. I'm never going to be able to do that. Of course, we're very aware of cyberbullying. Cyberbullying or just bullying today is a huge problem, and it has caused extreme tragedies because of the fact that we know back in the day, you would go to school, you would get bullied, it'd be terrible, you'd go home, and you'd at least get that release. And now, when you go home, it's almost worse than ever because now the bully has that much more access to their phone and that much more ability to kind of dig in. And of course, the algorithm. This is another con, but I'm also going to share my 2 cents about the algorithm. Why we are so against this quote unquote algorithm is because what it does is manipulate not necessarily what we see, but it manipulates how our brains are reacting to what we see. And it leverages and taps into our neurochemicals and how they're released. So what you'll be doing is you'll be scrolling through TikTok and you'll see a video after video after video, and you'll fall into a little bit of a groove and you're not really necessarily thinking, but you're somewhat enjoying the videos because clearly you're still scrolling. And that's a release of serotonin, this kind of feel-good, relaxed chemical. And all of a sudden you'll get this one video that's like, whoa, whatever that may be. That could be bad, good, that could be violent, that could be sexual, that could be some type of sensational piece of content that is a real strong release of dopamine. And now what's happening is that it's the gambling effect. It literally is very similar to how someone will interact with a slot machine. And if they stay there long enough, every once in a while, they'll get a little payoff. And stay there long enough, they'll get another payoff. And that's what keeps people in the casinos. And this is very similar to any type of other addiction. So while the algorithm is negative and bad in that sense and has caused definite harm, we also have to understand the ability that we have over the algorithm. Yes, we may feel powerless, but we actually have the ability to manipulate it. I'll tell you, if I take out my phone right now and I show you my Instagram page, I'll show you, there's a couple of different areas. And if you know Instagram right now, as of recording this of 2023, you'll know you have your home, which is primarily the feed of a lot of people that you follow. And there are some that are, based on your interest and of course all the other algorithms of your history and your demographics and all that stuff, but very few and far between. It's primarily who you follow. Now the other thing, the little magnifying glass, that is based on entirely what you've either searched for in the past or really what you, more importantly, what you spend your time with, right? You don't even have to comment. You don't even have to like. You just have to spend more time looking at that photo or video. And I'll tell you, my entire feed is all superheroes and bodybuilders. I mean, very few and far between is any other feed. What's interesting is that I very rarely go on that. But when I do, it's right there, so I'll just engage with it. So in a way, it's completely manipulating, but in a way, it's giving me exactly what I want. Now, here's the difference. I'm a 35-year-old adult. I've got my values set. I've got my priorities in order, and I can decide what my feed is. On TikTok, if I want to manipulate the feed, all I have to do is start watching that video that I want to see more of a little bit longer. I'll watch it, maybe repeat 2 or 3 times. And then any other video that doesn't have to relate to, 90s skateboarding, I'll just flip through. I'll go real fast. Then I find another video that's, say, a 90s skateboarding video. I'm just using it as an example. I will spend a lot of time on that. If I do this for a couple of times in a row, you can bet my entire feed is almost all going to be 90s skateboarding videos. The reason why this is so important is because never before in a time of history have we been able to manipulate and choose the media that we see. Because before this, we had the radio and the TV. But all those things were dictated by like 7 people in a boardroom. We had no control over what was produced and what was put out and what we watched. We had our 11 channels, and then we had, our 60 channels or whatever it is. And now we get to completely choose what we see. Why this is so important is because a teen has to realize that they still have control. Whether or not they don't feel it, they can manipulate what they see. It is hard because their brains are still developing. I understand that. But at the same time, we want to empower our students. We don't want to say, bad social media companies, because you'll be there all day pounding your fist on the desk and nothing's going to happen. You have to take control, and our students have to take control of what they can control. So while this is not a foolproof plan, it is a conversation that, again, we have to continue to have, and we have to continue to teach our youth, because the more knowledge that they have, plus the action that they are able to take, is the power that they need. So what is it that we can actually teach our teens to take a little bit more control of their social media platforms? Well, number one is the awareness of what's actually happening in their body. If they are continuing to scroll through mindlessly and they're not actually looking for something or doing something, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but they have to be aware that, all right, I am checking out, and maybe I'm going to set a time limit. Right? Maybe I'm going to set an alarm, not a time limit arbitrary, like, in 5 minutes. I mean, set an alarm so when it goes off, it's a trigger to interrupt the pattern. Number 2, to step into their mind and body and to see if they're actually enjoying what they're doing. If they're not really enjoying it, then again, that's the first sign that our neurochemicals are being manipulated by this algorithm. Finally, reminding them that they can ultimately manipulate their algorithm as they see. They can choose who they follow. They can choose what they want to see based on how we interact with it. Just spend a little bit more time almost recalculating their feeds, if they will. And again, this is tricky, but the last thing I'm going to say is they have the power. So if they want to take a break from social media, they can. Yes, it's hard, but they can spend a week away from social media and realize, I feel really lighter. I feel just better. Or they can delete the profiles if they want. I mean, they have all the control. We don't want to limit our students by saying, woe is you and woe is me, but building resiliency and saying you can take back control. If you like this video, then definitely hit like and subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the bell notifications to be notified every time I create a new video. And I want to hear from you. Are you dealing with a teen who has some issues with social media? And let me know some of the ways that you're currently helping them. And if you want to learn a little bit more about how I specifically help teens, go take a look at this video right here.